I've taken the time to study the All-22 coaches film from the Buffalo Bills Week 10 win over the Colts. I'm sharing my top takeaways with you today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of Go Bills and Buffalo's Run, also the co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. I want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. I'd also like to invite you to subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Well, folks, welcome in. So much to get to here today. Obviously, the meat and potatoes is going to be the All-22 review. I spent Monday studying this game film. I have plenty to share with you. But just before I hit record, I listened to Sean McDermott's press conference, and he has some massive updates for us here today that I want to reflect on very quickly before I start talking about what the tape revealed to me. Big updates, a lot of these injury related. First of all, Keon Coleman already ruled out for Sunday against Kansas City. He won't play, and so the earliest we'll see him is after the bye on Monday Night Football against the San Francisco 49ers. And so that's a bummer. You loved how the chemistry was developing with Josh Allen, and now he's going to miss a second consecutive game. And you certainly feel like some experience against Kansas City and the physical corners that they play with would be good for him to have that under his belt, as inevitably these teams will likely meet again in the postseason. As it relates to Amari Cooper, Reggie Gilliam, Dalton Kincaid, and Spencer Brown, they're taking things one day at a time. Sounds like Cooper and Gilliam are progressing, which is good news. It'd be nice to have Cooper this week with no Keon Coleman. That would be nice. Specifically on Dalton Kincaid, he said, we'll see how he fares over the next couple of days. So I think the good news there is it doesn't seem overly serious. The fact that it's possible that he could be good to go this week, that's a good sign. And if you have to be cautious, you'll be cautious, and we'll see after the bye. But the fact that they're taking it one day at a time in the world of Sean McDermott lingo, that's not a bad sign. The Bills are opening the 21-day practice window for linebacker Matt Milano. This is huge. Little earlier than we thought. Now, he's not going to play Sunday against Kansas City. But the Bills have 21 days now for him to be activated. So this is coming, folks. This is coming. Matt Milano is going to be back reasonably soon. And so he'll start practicing this week. And then we'll see him activated at some point in the relatively near future. Sean McDermott, very complimentary of the rehab process, how things are going. And he said we're taking things one week at a time with Milano. And so I think we'll get a more interesting idea as to what things are going to be like coming out of the bye. But obviously, news we were hoping to hear sometime soon, it comes through. Matt Milano on track to return here in the next few weeks. The last piece of news, not really from Sean McDermott's press conference, but the Seattle Seahawks released linebacker Terrel Bernard. Of course, spent the first several years of his career with the Bills, started a bunch of games for the Bills last year, did pretty well. And Seattle released him. And obviously they made a big miscalculation with their linebacker situation, signing Jerome Baker and Terrel Bernard in free agency, and they've traded Baker, and they've just flat out released Terrel Bernard. And so I would love for the Bills to bring him back. You know, Balin Spector, Sean McDermott said in his press conference that he popped his calf. That doesn't sound good. That feels like that's going to take a long time to get back from. So the Bills have a roster spot, and they have a need. Obviously, with Balin Spector, the Bills only rostering 5 linebackers right now. So they could certainly use some more depth, especially a guy that's experienced in the scheme. Not that I would anticipate Terrel Bernard coming in and playing over Dorian Williams or anything like that, but more depth and a guy that's familiar with your special teams operation, not a bad thing, especially as you've seen the Bills have late season linebacker injuries that have cost the team in recent years. Now, a couple things here with Taron Johnson. He is subject to waivers, so he'll have to clear. All 32 teams have a chance to put in a waiver claim for him. And so that's the Bills could put in a claim, and they're 30th in the priority. All right, not very good. Not very good when it comes to the opportunity. If other teams want him, they can put in a claim and they can get him. So that's a big hurdle to clear. But if he does clear, I'd certainly welcome him back to the Buffalo Bills, who have an open roster spot right now. So we'll see how that all ultimately comes together. But a lot of moving parts here, a lot of interesting updates. Of course, the headline being Matt Milano in his return to practice. Keon Coleman ruled out, and obviously we'll be keeping our ears open for any updates on Amari Cooper, Reggie Gilliam, Dalton Kincaid, and Spencer Brown. All right, with that out of the way, let's spend the rest of today talking all about Bills Colts, what the All-22 film revealed to me. Folks, be sure to stick with me. Hey, Bills Mafia, you remember our great partner, Ultimate Pro Football GM? Well, they are back, and they have an amazing new game that I need to tell you about. The game that has you step into the shoes of a football franchise GM and lead it to glory now has a new head coach career mode. So on top of building your dynasty by drafting players, signing free agents, and hiring a coaching staff, you also get to call the offensive plays during the games. Additionally, you'll dig the new tools that they have. You can work with all kinds of stuff here, such as individual training camps and an upgraded negotiation system. So this fun and realistic game just got a lot better. And if you already have it installed, be sure to update it so you can try out the new mode. If you don't have it yet, download it right now. It's a must-have for all football fans. I love it, and I know you will too. Ultimate Pro Football GM is completely free, has no ads, and is 100% playable offline. Play on the go as you want and when you want. And here's a special offer for Locked On fans. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL, all caps, inside the game store to receive a free boost to your franchise. Make sure to get it, as this perk will jumpstart your play and give you the advantage you'll want in creating a dynasty. To download the game, just visit ultimate-gm.com or look it up on the app stores. Ultimate Pro Football GM. Start your dynasty today. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need in one place to place live bets on the NFL all season long. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, folks, let's break down this Bills-Colts game, the All-22 tape. And if you're part of our Substack, which I encourage you to be, there's a link in today's show notes. If you want to be part of the Substack, you got a post already that has over 40 minutes of me breaking down plays from this game. You'll see the plays. You have audio commentary from me, voiceover, analyzing, breaking things down, over 40 minutes worth of plays. In addition to my big picture thoughts article that I wrote this morning, that's all available to our Substack subscribers. There's a link in today's show notes to check that out if you'd be interested. All right, so let's talk about Mack Hollins. I want to get into the offensive side of things, and Mack Hollins is a player today that I need to give some appreciation towards. He deserves a lot of credit for this win and what he's done recently as well. The Bills, obviously, with injuries at wide receiver. The last 2 weeks, no Amari Cooper. And of course, Keon Coleman injured for this particular game against the Colts. Against Miami, he has 5 catches on 5 targets for 30 yards and a touchdown. He has a touchdown reception on 4th down. And when the Bills got that game-winning drive, he's the only guy that caught a pass. He had 2 catches on that drive. The Bills got a penalty and a couple of catches from Mack Hollins and a 61-yard field goal from Tyler Bass. Huge. I mean, they might not even win that game without Mack Hollins. And then he steps up in a big spot against the Colts. 4 catches on 4 targets for 86 yards. And these were really important plays. Now, let me say this first. 9 catches on 9 targets over the last 2 games. In the previous 3 combined, he had 1 catch. 0 against Seattle and Tennessee. He had 1 against the Jets. So 1 catch in the 3 games combined. They all of a sudden need him, and he delivers in a big way. two catches in particular that I want to shout out here for Mack Hollins. First, the 2nd and 16, backed up deep in the Bill zone territory. It's cover 2, and the honey hole in cover 2 is the space between the safety and the corner. And Hollins gets to that spot, settles in, makes himself available, and Josh rips it immediately out of a 2nd and 16. And then the play before half, the 44-yard completion that gets the Bills down in range to kick a field goal. Obviously, special play by Josh Allen to get outside of structure, break a tackle, launch the ball down the field. But it's a special effort by Mack Hollins as well. He's the number 1 outside receiver on the complete other side of the field. He's running a backside dig route. And this dude sees that Josh gets outside of structure and is probably at about the numbers, and he just takes off and gets himself into some space, and Josh launches it down there to him. An incredible effort from Mack Hollins as the furthest backside receiver to his left, rolling all the way to his right. That's a special effort by Mack Hollins, just as much as it was by Josh Allen. And so the value of Mack Hollins this year, I think, has been pretty tremendous. He leads the team in touchdown catches with 3. 13 of his 16 catches have went for first downs. 9 big catches the last 2 weeks when the Bills needed him most. Big-time contributor on special teams, not lately because he's having to play so much receiver, but not bad for a 1-year, $2.6 million contract. He's providing this team with a lot of value, not to mention the leadership and everything he brings to the table. 86 yards, the second most in a game for Mack Hollins in his career. He's 31 years old. I want to talk about another player that I think deserves a lot of credit, and that's Ty Johnson, running back. And the Bills, of course, have James Cook and Ray Davis. They steal the headlines as it relates to the Bills running backs, but this is a very underappreciated player on this roster. So Ty Johnson has become the Bills' most trusted player in really 2-minute situations. When the Bills are in 2-minute offense, Ty Johnson's the running back because they trust him the most in pass protection. He's played the most pass protection snaps of any running back on the Bills roster this year. But I'm not sure a couple of important scores happen without Ty Johnson against the Indianapolis Colts. The field goal drive before the half, the Bills are facing a 2nd and 9 at their own 12 with 43 seconds left. 2nd and 9. If they don't get a positive play here and it's 3rd and long and the Bills are pinned deep back, they probably just get to halftime. Well, Josh Allen finds Ty Johnson for a check down to gain 7 yards. It sets up a 3rd and 2. And on 3rd and 2, he goes right back to Ty Johnson on a check down where Ty had to reach back across his body for the football, and he gets a first down, extends the drive, and then we know that eventually the Bills get down the field and get a field goal. That's notable. And then on the last touchdown drive, the statement drive that put Indianapolis away, going up 3 scores in the 4th quarter, Johnson had another 3rd down conversion where he caught the ball just shy of the line to gain, spins out of a tackle, collects 17 yards to put the Bills in the red zone. Then you get a 3rd down rush by Josh Allen. The next thing you know, James Cook's doing a flip from 2 yards out. Ty Johnson, a very underappreciated player in this Bills backfield. Obviously, Cook and Davis, they're your primary playmakers, but the pass protection and some of these clutch catches have been notable this season from Ty Johnson. Very valuable depth player. The other thing I want to talk about here offensively for the Bills, the 2 interceptions that Josh Allen threw. Now, these aren't as not Josh Allen's fault as his first 2. You know, the Cooper slips at the top of his route. The ball goes through Coleman's hands and into the air and into the hands of Jalen Ramsey. Not quite that. But I'll tell you what, I feel a lot differently after studying the film and seeing the All-22 and trying to get inside Josh Allen's mind more than I did just watching the game, the broadcast on TV. The first interception, Josh Allen is hit as he threw. And it's a big deal because Josh is being patient in the pocket. It's a play-action pass. He's waiting for Shakir to clear a defender. And he wants to throw the ball on a deep over route where it's a good look. It's a good decision. He's open. But he has pressure from there's a player pulling on his left shoulder as he's trying to throw the football. He wasn't able to get enough on the ball, and it's underthrown, and then underneath zone defender picks it off. I thought it was a good decision. I thought it was a good read. Just unfortunate that there was pressure that took something off the throw. I can live with that. I don't like the result, but it makes sense to me. It's not like Josh was just blind and didn't see the guy. Couldn't get enough on the ball because his shoulder was being literally pulled back as he tried to throw the ball. And it's, if you on the post that I made for the Substack, they've seen this if you've watched the video that I posted. It's very similar to a play earlier in the game where I thought Josh Allen needed to keep his eyes on an over route on a play action. This time it was to Kincaid, where I thought he cleared and Josh had plenty of time and could have hit him for a nice conversion. Instead, Josh takes off and gets tackled for no gain, and the Bills wind up having to punt. This looks to me like, hey, they showed the pictures and they talked about it on the sideline and said, hey, when we go back to this, I think that this will clear if we get this coverage, and it'll be a nice completion down the field. And then unfortunately, the protection wasn't what it needed to be, and Josh had his arm pulled back while he was trying to throw. The other play, Josh Allen thought he had free access, and it's the exact same play the Bills ran on the first play of the game. You remember it was to Curtis Samuel. Josh rips it to the sideline, and Curtis Samuel, nice little run after catch, and the Bills start the drive. They're looking to do the same thing here. And honestly, the picture that Josh Allen sees doesn't really make it that bad of a decision. This is Kenny Moore, a top-tier slot corner in the NFL, just making an amazing play. Josh is anticipating that the slot receiver there is going to occupy Kenny Moore, and Kenny Moore is going to carry the route or at least squeeze it down, and there's going to be plenty of room for him to throw that ball. And Kenny Moore doesn't do that. Kenny Moore freelances and just buzzes and picks off the pass. I mean, Kenny Moore freelanced, and he was right about it. So it's not quite as ill-advised or as silly. You're watching that play live, and you're like, oh, my God, how does Josh not see that? Well, there's a route that's supposed to hold it, and the guy freelances and picks off the pass. I don't know. I came away just feeling a lot better about those interceptions than thinking, hey, Josh is forcing things, or he's not seeing it correctly, or there's some type of concern here. So I would definitely want to share that with you today. Offensive snap counts. The Bills ran 74 offensive plays. Josh Allen, 99%. Mitch Trubisky, thank you for your efforts for your kneel down on the last play, 1%. Running back, James Cook, 55%. Ty Johnson, 30%. Ray Davis, 15%. Some people might think a little bit, that Ray Davis number is a little low. The Colts are a pressure team on third down. And so that's going to dictate more opportunity for Ty Johnson than Ray Davis. One thing about Ray Davis, I'd like to look at these numbers, but when Ray Davis is on the field, it's generally because he's going to get the ball, right? So I think some of the non-catching and running responsibilities of a running back, the Bills, I think, are trying to get more comfortable with Ray Davis before he's, trusted in these situations. So the Bills I think they do a good job of incorporating all three backs, to be honest with you. And this was a game where, Ty Johnson should be on the field a little bit more based on the high pressure looks that the Colts like to run on third downs. Wide receiver, Curtis Samuel, 89%. Mack Hollins, 88%. Khalil Shakir, 72%. Tyrell Shavers, 8%. Jalen Virgil, 5%. Comment here on Jalen Virgil, who's now on the active roster. With Mack Hollins having to play a lot more offense than I think they want him to, he's not really playing special teams. The gunners on the punt team are Cam Lewis and Jalen Virgil. Those two guys have been asked to do that job. At tight end, Dawson Knox, 70%. Quinton Morris, 35%. Dalton Kincaid, 24%. Obviously, the injury there factors in. Alec Anderson, only 6 snaps, 8% in this game. I thought that was interesting. They didn't use the utility blocker quite as much as they have in the past. Offensive line, Dawkins and McGovern, 100%. Edwards and Torrance, 99%. Brown, 89%. Ryan Vandemark, 12%. Cedric Van Pran Granger, 1%. Obviously, some kneel downs, and you had Brown missed a little bit of time in the game where Ryan Vandemark came in. And Vandemark came in and held his own. The long completion to, catch and run to Khalil Shakir, Ryan Vandemark got 2 big blocks on the same play. So it's nice to see him come in and make a positive contribution. So that's the offensive side of things. On the other side of it, I want to talk about defense, specifically the success the Bills had defending Jonathan Taylor. There's several players I want to shout out that really spoke to me on tape. We'll do snap counts and, of course, the overall studs and duds for the game. Folks, be sure to stick with me. There's nothing quite like being at the stadium, watching Josh Allen rip touchdown passes down the field. Well, if you'd like to get to the stadium, you got to download the Game Time app. Game Time is the fast and easy way to purchase tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. The app is awesome. It's easy to navigate. They give you flash deals. If you buy a ticket, they send the ticket straight to your phone, so you don't have to dig through emails to find them. They also give you a picture from your seat, so you know exactly what to expect when you get to the venue. But probably my favorite thing is the specialization that they have in last-minute tickets, you know, especially for concerts. I love all these concerts that are getting announced, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to go in March or June or July. I can get a great price on a ticket right up to the day of the event on Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Let's talk a little defense here, folks. I want to start with defending Jonathan Taylor, and the Bills did a great job of defending Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, he had 21 carries for 114 yards, but folks, that is empty production. Empty. 16 for 107 in the first half, 58 on one play where he wasn't touched until he was tackled. 5 rushes for 7 yards in the second half. Now, before I tell you all these great numbers about how well the Bills did, let's talk about the 58-yard run. Step one, Casey Toohill is your defensive end, okay? Casey Toohill is just, he tries hard. He's just not a great football player. And so step one is he's your play side defensive end there. And they crack block on him. There's no communication on the crack block. So he's pinned inside. And then you have Terrell Bernard and Damar Hamlin as your second and third level defenders. They fill it like it's an inside run. It's an outside run. Quinton Nelson's leading off tackle, and he blocks the corner, Christian Benford. There's a huge alley. Your safety's caught in the trash. Your middle linebacker's caught in the trash. And Jonathan Taylor in his 4.3 speed is off to the races. Happens. A crack block that pins your edge rusher. Your middle linebacker and your safety fill an inside run. They get flat-footed. They don't have the angle. They run the ball outside with a great running back that has 4.3 speed. But overall, an outstanding job. Well, first of all, let me go back to that play. Dorian Williams, unbelievable effort on that play, and so Taylor Rapp as well. The Bills tackle Jonathan Taylor, and despite a 58-yard run, they get a field goal. They don't get a touchdown. So that was a great effort there at the end. Let me give you some numbers about how outstanding the Bills did against Jonathan Taylor in particular. Jonathan Taylor's success rate on runs, 19%. Second lowest of any running back in the NFL in Week 10 that had at least 10 carries. His EPA per rush, negative 0.18, which is 23rd out of 44 players with at least 7 carries this week. He had a stuff rate of 71.5%. That's number one among 32 running backs with at least 10 carries this week. The Bills bottled them up. Did a great job defending an A-plus back like Jonathan Taylor. Oh, by the way, they still did the same thing they always do. 76% light boxes for Jonathan Taylor. Negative EPA. Highest stuff rate of any back in the league. Second lowest success rate per rush. It's a great job by the Bills defense. I want to shout out some players on defense that really spoke to me on tape. First of all, Greg Rousseau. If you get a chance to watch the film clips that I sent to the Substack subscribers, I'm cackling watching Greg Rousseau play football. He is just an absolute joy. 2 plays in particular that were outstanding. He had a run defense play where he actually slants inside and then works back outside to tackle Jonathan Taylor, who, if Jonathan Taylor has a little bit more width on the run, he's probably going to break a long run. But Greg Rousseau, as he's being blocked, and the blocker has leverage on him, it's like he doesn't even know that the blocker's there, and he's opening his arms to tackle Jonathan Taylor. Ultimately does tackle Jonathan Taylor. while he's being blocked by a guy that has leverage on him. It's like Rousseau just opens his arms while he's being blocked and makes a tackle. It's a really phenomenal play. And then, of course, the strip sack coming from the defensive right. It's a one-arm stab, and it's a remarkable play. He just leaves that inside hand up, and it's almost like he's like carrying a sword, just marching forward with a sword, and he gets his hand on the tackle, compresses the pocket, and then leaves his hands up and just keeps going towards Flacco and knocks the ball out. It's a crazy play. Greg Rousseau's the best run-stopping defensive end in the league, and he's one heck of a pass rusher too. The guy's going to get $25 million a season. Boy, he deserves it. Good football player. I want to shout out Christian Benford. Man, I love watching him play. Goodness gracious. There's a physical, competitive nature to how he plays that I mean, if you like good football players, you like Christian Benford. The forced fumble that the Bills wind up not recovering, and then a couple plays later, Austin Johnson picks off the screen pass. That speaks to Christian Benford and who he is as a player. He doesn't give anybody anything. And there's a knowledge, like if you're going to go up against Christian Benford in a game, you better be ready to compete with every ounce that you have on every single play, because he's going to bring it. If you catch the ball, he's going to try to knock it out. And he has that ability to like make the tackle, but also go for those punch outs. He had 3 punch attempts in this game at knocking out a ball where he didn't miss a tackle. Perfect technique all the time. Ball skills, physical. Dude is an absolute dog on the field. Terrell Bernard, underrated play in this game. He had a pass breakup in the red zone on 3rd down. And Joe Flacco thinks he's got a wide open throw over the middle of the field to Josh Downs. Terrell Bernard squeezes the tight end on a seam route. And as Joe Flacco's breaking his hands to go make the throw, which he thinks is going to be a touchdown, but Bernard buzzes down and breaks up the pass over the middle of the field, incomplete. Kick a field goal, no touchdown for you. These zone coverage instincts that Terrell Bernard has are off the charts. Off the charts. My goodness. Him and Milano back. Please let it come to fruition the way I think it can. Taron Johnson. What a player. Pick 6, obviously, on the first play of the game. Shout out to Damar Hamlin and Rasul Douglas. Outstanding blocks on that play to make sure he gets in, especially Damar Hamlin. Everybody's seen Rasul Douglas. That one's not hard to see, but Damar Hamlin blitzes on that play, and then he turns into a blocker on Jonathan Taylor and sustains that block for a long time. Obviously, an outstanding play where Flacco thinks that Taron's going to buzz down on the tight end, and he doesn't. Then he comes up with 2 run stuffs. And you know, Taron Johnson's the best run defending slot corner in the league. There's no question. That's just not even debatable. 2 outstanding run stuffs where he's, backside filling windows like he's friggin' Levante David out there. And then what a play on the sack. The Bills scheme it up so that Taron is one-on-one against Jonathan Taylor. And Taron beats him with speed to power. Able to get a little separation, finish the play. Good football player. Quinton Jefferson, Jordan Phillips, I figured a lot of people would be interested in my thoughts on how they played. What's kind of crazy is Quinton Jefferson played 17 snaps. All 17 were pass rush snaps. All 17. He didn't defend the run on a single play. Had 2 pressures and a sack, obviously. More of a coverage sack, but a good job working to the edge. Winds up kind of hitting in a hump move and getting Joe Flacco down. I thought he had a decent day rushing the passer. And then Jordan Phillips, he played, I think, 10 run snaps and 11 pass rush snaps. I'll say this about Jordan Phillips. He didn't get blown off the ball to the degree that I'm used to seeing him. I thought he was competitive against the run, competitive against the pass. I think he had 1 pressure. I think some people are mad at him for the end of the game where, Flacco's rolling to his right. Phillips was never going to catch Flacco. Like, Phillips is not going to be able to run him down. And Phillips popped his hamstring, if you remember, last year, chasing down a quarterback. So, I mean, I don't love the effort, but at the same time, he's probably going to pop his hamstring if he sells out there. And so I kind of get it in those circumstances. Look at me. making excuses for Jordan Phillips. So that should give you an idea. Defensive snap counts, 59 snaps for the Bills on defense. Greg Rousseau, 64% of them. Epinesa, 64%. He had a fun sack in this game. Good speed-to-power conversion to bull rush and beat that left tackle. Von Miller, 36%. He shot out of a cannon on 3rd and 12. Came close to a sack there and on another play. Had a really good run stop. And the Bills got the third and 1 run stop that before the half, and the Colts wound up punting. Von Miller slants inside and makes the play. I know that it's not super eye-opening the last couple of weeks for Von Miller, but I think he's played well. Casey Toohill, 33%. I could live my life with less Casey Toohill. Javon Solomon, 3%. At defensive tackle, Ed Oliver, 64%. Daquan Jones, 45%. Jordan Phillips, 33%. Austin Johnson, 31%. Quinton Jefferson, 27%. Linebacker, Terrell Bernard, 92%. Dorian Williams, 69%. Nick Moreau and Joe Andreessen, 5%. At corner, Taron Johnson, Christian Benford, Rasul Douglas, all 94%. Kyer Elam, Brandon Codrington, 8%. And then at safety, Hamlin, Rapp, 92%. Cam Lewis, 31%. He did a nice job as a sub-package player. They subbed out Dorian a few times. And Cam Lewis played a decent amount as a dime safety. And then Cole Bishop and Jamarcus Ingram, 8%. Cole Bishop actually had a nice play late in the game in the red zone. Was able to kind of adjust and read the backfield and almost, kind of came close to an interception there. It was a good play by Cole. Studs and duds. Studs, Greg Rousseau, Taron Johnson, Austin Johnson. Come on now. That was a heck of an interception. Taylor Rapp obviously has an interception in this game. Very good tackling. The Bills only missed 4 tackles in this game. One was by Ed Oliver and one was by Casey Toohill. It was good tackling effort from the Bills, and Taylor Rapp was a big part of that. Plus, of course, the interception. Mack Hollins, I already raved about him. James Cook, workman-like day, 19 for 80 and a touchdown. The Bills varied their run concepts quite a bit in this game. Ran some inside zone, some outside zone, a little bit of duo. They ran some short traps, and I thought James, workman-like game, and there was a couple of plays where I thought his vision was just really, really excellent. Tyler Bass and Sam Martin also studs. Again, Tyler Bass goes 6 for 6 total, including, I think, 3 of those beyond 40, 48-yard extra point. Sam Martin, perfect on his 2 punts. My duds, Casey Toohill, the run defense is just lacking when he's out there. He doesn't set the edge quite anything like what Epinesa does or what Rousseau does or even Von Miller. So he plays hard, but, man, I just think he's out-leveraged way too much with his run fits. Brandon Codrington, well, I don't really care about it. He gave up a touchdown catch, but I thought he had 2 mistakes. Taking that opening kickoff and it being an 8-yard loss because he got to the 22 and a touchback's a 30, and then fumbling on that kick return. That could have been a game-changing play. And fortunately, Alec Anderson recovers it. But that's 2 goofs as a return guy in one game. Can't have it. Cannot have it. Even though he's been really good all year. I think I complimented him last week. But this was not this. Hopefully, this was him making some rookie mistakes. And rookies make mistakes. If you watch the Giants and Panthers, Tyrone Tracy fumble in overtime. Watch the Commanders and Steelers. Johnny Newton, the defensive tackle, goes offsides and winds up clinching the game for Pittsburgh. So I think that's part of the deal. Like we saw it with Cole Bishop. We've seen Keon Coleman make rookie mistakes. It happens, right? It just kind of happens. And so that's the give and take of playing rookies. And I think you saw in this game, Brandon Codrington make a couple of mistakes. All right, folks, that's it for us here today. Herd mentality will be up next. Looking forward to that. And then we'll start getting ready for Bills Chiefs in week 11, Orchard Park. Patrick Mahomes coming to town. All right, folks, that's it for today. As always, I kindly ask that you share, subscribe, rate, and review. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills. And I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.